You want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Sean Taylor, and I am the president of CEO at Georgia State University.
And what is CEO, Sean?
CEO is Collegiate Entrepreneurs Organization, and what CEO is basically the student voice of entrepreneurship. We're here to basically just find as many student entrepreneurs as we can, and also inspire other entrepreneurs to inspire other students to pursue entrepreneurship as well. Because a lot of people don't understand that entrepreneurship is a skill that can be applied to whatever you're doing, whether that's within a corporation that you're working for somebody else or for your own advantage in business.
Now, you felt it was really important that CEO do the first hackathon at Georgia State. Why was that such an important task to undertake?
I didn't feel it was important for CEO to do the first hackathon at Georgia State. I felt it was really important for the first hackathon at Georgia State to happen. I just wanted it to happen so we can really get this ball rolling, and once you start creating this trajectory and let things snowball. Georgia State has had such a scarcity of a real entrepreneurship infrastructure in my tenure at Georgia State, to the point that I had to leave to go to other competing schools and their environments that were more developed in entrepreneurship support. But after a while, I just got to the point where it was like, okay, this needs to be at Georgia State. No one's making it happen. I'm going to make it happen. And it wasn't just me. I couldn't have done it alone due to the many, many factors that comes to dealing with an institution that I found out about. There was a lot of challenges to get here.
So it sounds like you have responded the way an entrepreneur responds: see an opportunity and solve it.
Yeah, I guess that's exactly what I did. I wasn't thinking about it that way in the occurrence of it. It was just something that I almost didn't understand why it wasn't here. And I developed a love for Georgia State in my time here. So it was just like, why we're going to fall further behind? Because to me, entrepreneurship is the only way. The entrepreneurship mindset, more so than actually creating businesses, but really because entrepreneurship is about just the proactivity and being able to use feedback to improve yourself, which can be good in any kind of environment. So I felt like if we didn't have this mindset present on our campus, we were basically going to fall behind no matter what we were doing.
Quite a team came together to pull this off. Tell us about some of the various partners you pulled in and how they became involved.
Okay, well, first it started with just building up a CEO team, right? I was basically member number one in many ways, and once I got that team kind of rolling, we were just basically be able to create a website and an organization that didn't look like it didn't exist anymore. And once we started looking for ways to make the hackathon happen, I started to find other people who were interested in making a hackathon happen. The very first one was Panther Hackers. I met Tiffany Green. I think Phil Ventimiglia actually told her about me because I was interested in the hackathon. And then they had a group, Panther Hackers, which is essentially a group that goes around to hackathons to, well, just win hackathons, or at least try. But in between those times, they're basically training and developing students through workshops to actually try to help those students be able to compete and perform hackathons. It's really all about the same thing that we're about in the core, taking an idea and making it something that's palpable, something tangible for the world to see, experience, and serve.
That's cool. So who else now? There are other groups and people involved.
Yes. So that was the first group, and then Amanda Chinquamani, I met her. With Richard Welke, I met him. They are a part of a group, Enactus. So they are entrepreneurship, but they are specifically focused on social enterprise. So once again, it's the same mission, but a slightly different focus. And me, being an entrepreneur, I'm all about collaboration. I'm not really about, okay, we're trying to take over and just own this one space ourselves, because I believe the space will be more competitive and more efficient for students if so many students can serve all these different needs and help each other out in the long run. Because once things becomes this one organization, particularly in the campus environment, you have all these egos and other things that come into play and just slows down the process, which is basically anti-entrepreneurship.
So for this first hackathon, you chose the theme of Hack the School. What prompted that?
The theme the school, it basically just came from, I wanted Georgia State to be able to see how they could benefit from it. And we have students that are working on ideas that improves the student environment. It shows the school that the students can actually work on gaining those skills, using the skills, collaborate, and also do something that's beneficial for the university all at one time. None of these things have to be exclusive, and all these things can work together and serve everybody's needs. But I mean, that's just what entrepreneurship is. It's just finding a way, as opposed to saying, okay, if we have these students, we have to do this lecture style, which is so weird that this still exists in such abundance. But we can really be hands-on and create all these things. And hopefully, I'm just really hoping that someone comes up with something, if not this time, next time, where that actually spreads into the school environment, starting at Georgia State. Because the way I know one thing for sure is schools, they love to be able to brag about their students. So if we can create a vehicle that allows the university to brag about their students and start to duplicate and replicate that, then we've won, because we'll get that infrastructure and support.
So we're about, 10 hours in here to this hackathon. What have you seen so far that's exciting?
Like a particular idea? I don't want to give anybody's idea away or make anyone think I jinxed them or anything, but I've heard of a lot of interesting ideas. One interesting idea I heard was, and I don't think anybody's using it anymore, I'm not sure after they formed teams, but someone talked about a wait list. And when we talk about doing these lines, whether it's the financial aid or with a one-stop shop, waiting in those lines, it takes forever. So they basically want to do a sign-in before you get to the office, and then you just get alerted. Maybe you'll be up in 15 minutes, so you can just go and time it so you get there right on time. It's basically setting up an appointment. And another idea along the lines of a wait list was, and it's a huge problem that so many students have, all of these classes, especially the best classes, they get filled up really quickly. However, there are times when those filled up classes get more spaces because, life just happens that way. And in that time, students who want that class, we're sitting there all day. We're in a class we really don't want to be in, hoping this other class opens up, and we're just hitting refresh, hoping that opening comes up so I don't have to be here the whole semester. And somebody's solution for that was basically having a registration process that also has a wait list that creates a queue, and once you're in that queue, if that spot opens, it just automatically fills and it'll alert you. So this saves you the time of having to not focus in class or having to worry about this process. It just happens.
So do you think CEO Hacks is going to be an annual event?
Is it going to be an annual event? I would love it to be an annual event. I would love this to be one of the big hackathons at Georgia State. I definitely would like there to be other hackathons at Georgia State as well, because I think that'll give us the opportunity to have different focuses and be so inclusive where it shows the culture's really building. So it's just the way of being, and so it's not as big of a deal. I don't even want the hackathon to be a big deal. I just want it to be so ingrained in culture that it's just moving in that way. I want the film school to have filmathons where they're creating films and gaining those skills, because when you're working in that condensed period of time, you're sharpening your skills. We focus a lot more, and we realize we can do a lot more in a shorter period of time. And just the team building aspect, it's fun. You meet people that you never met, and all of a sudden you're friends because you competed on the team. It's like a sport.
Now, a hackathon is a programming competition, right? So to compete in a hackathon, you really have to be a deep technology coder, right, that understands?
Not necessarily so. There's a lot of ways around it. I mean, that's kind of the nature of being an entrepreneur, the way you think. They say I have to code, but I'm going to, and luckily they build a lot of websites around that kind of aid these kind of things, but even before, Some time ago, I was involved in a similar process, and all we did was we just built a PowerPoint, and PowerPoints have hyperlinks, and you can take a picture of a phone and you use screenshots to make the phone seem like it's an app. You put them on different slides, you click the slide, and it leads to different places and different screens. You can build up a fake website, like WordPress blogs are free, and that's a very, very intuitive thing. It's maybe not for your first time, but there's a very short learning curve, definitely in comparison to code. So there's so many ways around it to at least work on that minimal viable product, that first prototype. And once you get that, and if it's a good idea, you can really sell your idea, then you'll get those coders who can take it to the next level.
So you need designers, graphic artists, idea people.
We need everybody.
Marketing people. I
really feel like we need everybody. Marketing, obviously, what idea doesn't need to be marketed, and that's a part of the selling process in a sense. Design, great design is really one of the focuses of this era of time, right? We've worked on building products, but now in this new millennial age, design has become a huge thing and a huge advantage. And that's not just about looking good and looking elegant. That's a part of design, but design is also the user experience, right? So now I don't have to click 5 times to get to this simple thing, right? It's like going to Walmart and then putting the milk at the back of the store, so you deal with all this mesh in the middle and all these other products. Well, a great design website doesn't do that. They put the milk that you need at the front of the store.
Good deal. Sounds like CEO Hacks has an exciting future.
Yes, it definitely does.
Thank you, Sean.
No problem.